Window World is proud to present Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. Simply the best for less at windowskansascity.com.
We got a lot of football and sports to get to on this very busy Monday, the beginning of a new week. Thank you for joining us at Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. It is 9/11, and 22 years ago today, we all lived through the moment that changed history forever as we watched in horror unfolding on live television 2 airplane attacks on the World Trade Center and then subsequent airplanes at the Pentagon and in that field that came crashing down. And we'll never forget it. And it is a day to reflect and remember and to galvanize as Americans that, especially in this time where America seems to be pushing itself towards being a one-world globalist country where we think apparently we can be friends with everyone and have policies internationally to where we're not just one great country that does things for ourselves and on our own. We need to be part of some bigger coalition. I'm not talking about strategically as allies. I'm talking about basically as a one uniparty socialist kind of government across dozens of countries throughout the globe. We must remember that there are people out there that hate us. They hate us immensely, and they would love to see us fail, and they would love to see us die. Unfortunately, it's the state of the human condition, and it's always been the state of the human condition. And at least on this day, and not to start the week on some sort of a bummer or bring you down, on this day, at least remember that. As we remember the people that died, we remember the first responders, we remember those that are survivors today that are still sick and have lung diseases and things of that nature from everything that they breathed in that day in New York or with one of the other crash sites. This is a perfect day to remember that we are, I think America's basically, we're stronger on our own. If we look out for ourselves, we are stronger as a nation if we worry about ourselves and not so much about joining others. We shouldn't really trust anyone, to be quite honest about it all. And we should figure out a way to get back to a place where our borders are secure, our country is safe, our crime is low, our economy is strong, our military is great, and we can defend ourselves from anything that takes place and go anywhere in the world and take care of business without worrying about what other countries think of us or what other countries could do to us. This would be a great day to think about that a little bit and remember those things. So without getting too deep into 9/11, my takeaway from, and we're going to get to a lot of football later, my takeaway from Sunday Night Football, because it was a 40-0 Cowboys rout. The Cowboys were incredible. I'm not going to go in depth on the Cowboys. They were just incredible in this game. My takeaway from this thing on Sunday night as I watched the pregame, which was the best part, and I loved it. And I don't want you to think I'm cynical or looking for bad, but I couldn't help not see something wrong with the pregame last night. There were a lot of people upset that the Black National Anthem played at Arrowhead. That wasn't the issue here. Queen Latifah sang the Star-Spangled Banner, and she did a great job. The flag on the field was amazing. The shots that NBC had of New York, the Statue of Liberty, and some of the amazing things that they did during this pregame ceremony was the kind of stuff to give you goosebumps. It was a tribute to 9/11. Obviously, the game was in New York for a reason. And everybody felt great. But my takeaway from it while watching on NBC and seeing the way they produce it and the way they showed it and the things that they did was you can't really trust them or believe them that they love this. There's too much baggage with NBC Sports. One example is Maria Taylor is now the pregame hostess on the set. She's terrible. She has this incredible track record of, well, you name it. She's it. And yet they've hired her. It's the landing spot. They've decimated their pregame show. It's awful. It's unwatchable. They've got McCourty on there. Garrett, the former Cowboys coach. It's an unwatchable thing. Tirico and Collinsworth are great. But we know what's happened. You know, this used to be Michelle Tafoya and Al Michaels. Michelle Tafoya is a committed conservative. She's gone. She's toast. They change everything up. Look, NBC is as liberal as it gets, and they're largely anti-American. They are in much of what they do. So I'm watching this pregame ceremony, and it moved me in such a way that I wanted to share with you that I was moved by watching it because I felt my own patriotism and I loved what I was seeing. And then all I could think was, this is fake. And it occurred to me that if the Democrats weren't in charge right now, we wouldn't be looking at this. Because when Trump was in charge, we saw kneelers, rioters, protesters, fires. America sucked. Remember that? I don't know what was spectacular about the 22-year anniversary of 9/11 that they did such a tribute on Sunday Night Football, and they showed this to everyone. Other than election cycle, hey, America's doing great. We all love America. Look how great America is with the Democrats in charge. It's the subtle part of their game. We know a lot of the outward part of their game. We see what they do, the manipulation with big tech, with censorship, with all the stories they keep out from reporting to you. But this is the subtle part of their game. The subtle part of the liberal media in this country at this point, now that we're just a little over a year away from a very historic election in this country. If it stays with Joe Biden, we're done. The country's gone. We're not getting it back. They're going to be in charge. They're going to go after the Constitution. They're going to change everything. They will, and they will probably succeed. So it is that important. But since we're this close to that election, watch what the liberals do in every media outlet. They will appeal to people that love America, that live in small towns, that love football. And the inference here, it's not like they're showing pictures of Joe Biden during this ceremony. What they're inferring to everyone, and you don't know, and this is classic advertising, is America's great again. Forget Donald Trump's slogan, make America great again. America is great right now. Do you see this? Look at our flag. Look at these players. Look at the tears in these people's eyes. Look at the Statue of Liberty at night. Look at all of these things. And isn't America great? Isn't she wonderful? When it really couldn't be further from the truth. I know, if you think it's possible that NBC just said, you know what, it's 9/11, let's do it right, good luck, because that is not the way they think. That's not the way they think. You just watch for this, and I'm going to get emails from a lot of you over the next few months. You're going to see something just like this. You're going to see something from somebody that's just a committed liberal operation, whether it's the New York Times or CNN or something. You'll be watching somewhere, or maybe even in a drama or a television show or something that you like, or that you stream, or a movie, and you know that they're committed liberals, and you're going to see them make America look good. They're going to try over the next year to convince you with every possible means at their disposal that America's doing great, and we should love her, and put your hand on your heart and salute that flag, because the Democrats are running this place. That's what that was all about Sunday night. It wasn't about the 22nd anniversary. It wasn't number 20. It wasn't number 25. It was number 22. That thing was over the top fantastic. You have to ask yourself why. That's the biggest audience there is. There'd be 25, 30 million people watching. It's the biggest audience there is. And what NBC was producing right there for everyone was, dang, America's great. Isn't she wonderful? Look at these players. Look at these happy black athletes on the field with their hands on their heart. I hate to find a negative, but that I couldn't think of anything else, because I know what NBC is. I know too much about what they are and what they do, and this is the subtle part of their game. Watch for the subtle part of their game, and that is to try to, in some way, convince you that America is just doing great. Meanwhile, our commander-in-chief was in Vietnam on Sunday, where he announced he wants to build a continental railroad system across Africa. Yeah, Joe Biden wants to build a railroad all across the African continent. Now, what the hell this has to do with the United States of America is unknown to me. I'm not even going to try to figure that out. But this, again, is the one world thing. Don't we have a whole lot of train crash issues in America? Seriously. We have a train wreck problem in this country. And I don't think the Biden administration's helped it, but I can't completely blame it on them. I'm sure we had train wreck problems before that. I mean, we've got an unbelievable number of train derailments going on and train crashes taking place in this country. And he's talking about building a railroad system across the continent of Africa. He gets cut off at the end of his speech because it looks like he's going to stand there and take questions. And some woman off camera with a microphone says, that ends today's da-da-da-da-da. And they start playing music like the Oscars. You know, when you're giving your Oscar speech too long and they start playing music, they had an announcement and started playing music over Joe Biden in Vietnam. They cut his microphone off. Reporters are shouting questions at him. He's still at the podium. And he comes back and he says something that you can't hear because his microphone was closed. They were shouting questions as he walked away. And he said to reporters, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed. He was disheveled. He was exhausted. His head wasn't in it. He botched the speech. He tried to read the speech and couldn't get through it. And literally told reporters when they were asking him questions about Hunter Biden and, you know, Trump prosecutions and all this stuff, they're firing questions at him, literally said, I don't know about you, but I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Remarkable. We live in a remarkable time, folks. An unbelievable time. Truly, truly crazy. In just 1 minute, you're going to hear something from Tucker Carlson that you have to hear. It's brought to you by North Kansas City Dental, online at nkcdental.com. Dr. Bill Bush is an award-winning dentist, and he's taking new patients at North Kansas City Dental. They've got 2 offices, one in North Kansas City, one in Westwood. Call 816-471-2911. Talk football and politics all you want at your dentist's office and feel good about it. How good is that? nkcdental.com. 360 Document Solutions. Anywhere in Missouri, Kansas, or Oklahoma, your business can benefit from the expertise of the team at 360documentsolutions.com. Copiers, printers, phone systems, voice over, IP, it's all right there. And their service is exceptional. This is not some big conglomerate corporation. Nope. Locally owned and operated. They are there for you. 360 Document Solutions. Call Mark Lindquist today, 913-745-5344. And Dr. Kip Van Camp and his team at Ideal Health KC. Ideal Health is located in Shawnee at K7 and Shawnee Mission Parkway. It's regenerative medicine. He's double board certified as an interventional radiologist. He works with stem cell or tissue research. It's been published in multiple journals. Hip pain, joint pain, COVID shot issues, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. This could be the Ideal Health solution for you. IdealHealthKC.com, 913-745-5300. Tucker Carlson says he's never running for office. Boy, he sure seems like he's out there campaigning a lot and doing a lot of things that a presidential campaigner, a candidate would be doing. He's visiting world leaders. He's traveling from one state to another. He goes to Texas and he gives a speech. And it's about the border and Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. And the fact that Greg Abbott tries to act tough about the border, but won't use the Texas National Guard in any meaningful way to close the border in Texas. And what I like about Tucker Carlson is he says things that other people don't. He's completely unafraid, and he just let it fly. Now, Greg Abbott's a Republican. A lot of Texans like Greg Abbott, and they'll reelect him and all these other things. It's not like he's unpopular. But if you listen to Abbott's words and what he said about the border and look at his actions, they're two completely and totally different things. He has not really done the actions on the border. Ken Paxton has had to come in and do some stuff that Abbott hasn't. They put those floating little buoys out there. They've tried this and that, but they haven't done what really works, and that is arm the border, repel the people from coming in, send them back across the border, fire a couple of warning shots in the air, whatever. And so Tucker Carlson absolutely blasted Texas policy under Governor Greg Abbott.
How many Texans do you think are all on board with letting 7 million people cross into their state illegally? What percentage? 0. Zero. I don't care what your race or national origin. Nobody is for that. That's insane.
Has the governor of Texas done anything meaningful to stop that? No. The Republican governor? He's got a National Guard.
He's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard, and it's Texas, so they're all large.
And they have double-stack magazines in their sidearms. You think they couldn't stop that in a week if they... Of course. Just assemble along the border. We're not doing this.
No, he refuses to do that.
He won't do it. And it's not like no one suggested. I've suggested to him 3 times, including in private at a cocktail party in Dallas last year. What are you doing, man? Don't you have a National Guard? Why don't you seal the border?
Oh, it's very complicated. No, it's not.
No, it's not. If someone's trying to break into my house, it's not complicated to repel the person. Do you have a firearm or don't you? Are you willing to defend your house and your children, or aren't you?
Well, it's more complicated. That really, tell me how. Speak slowly so I can understand.
It's not more complicated than that. It's more dishonest than that. You're lying to me. You don't want to do it because your donors don't want you to do it. It's that simple. Greg Abbott. Liar. Liar. And worse than liar, betrayer of your own people. That's what that is.
I was polite at the cocktail party, so I didn't say any of that, but I fumed internally like an Episcopalian. I thought those things.
But the point is, if you assume that just because everybody wants something, you're going to get it, think again, pal. It's very likely that, in fact, you won't get anything that you want. You will just pay for what a small group of other people want. That's the way it works. Boo! Boo is right. Boo is right. It's not just frustrating, it's a betrayal of the core promise of the country, which is the people rule. That's a criminal act.
Ooh, you talk about scorched earth. There it was. Tucker Carlson just letting Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, have it. Woo. Does Tucker Carlson sound like a guy that's not ever running for office? I think he might be out there like practicing for 4 years from now. I don't think he's going to run this time. That's not my point. I could absolutely see him running in 4 years. No matter what happens, even if Trump wins, I could see him running in 4 years against whoever the VP would be or anything else. Or maybe he's auditioning for vice presidential candidate with Trump. Would Tucker Carlson even consider something like that? I don't know, but he'd be great out on the campaign trail. You will not out debate him. He's right on the issues. Every single thing you could throw at him, he's right. Or, as I've said about Vivek Ramaswamy, same thing with Tucker Carlson. I think either one of them would be a great chief of staff for Trump. Either one of them. Tucker's letting fly, man. That almost sounded personal with Greg Abbott. It really did. I mean, Tucker's mad. He's just livid that border is open in the fashion that it is. We got a lot of college football to talk about. Brought to you by Finch Knife Company, online at finchknifeco.com. This is born and bred right here in Kansas City. Every knife is designed here. These are world-class pocket knives, and there are dozens to choose from. All kinds of different series on the website, finchknifeco.com. Keep life from getting dull. You can find your favorite Finch pocket knife at Sheetles in Overland Park, the Bullet Hole in Mission, or Teague Tractor in Belton. Social media won't help them. They can't really advertise there. They're happy to be part of KKHI. These are great conservative American patriots that make beautiful pocket knives with mother-of-pearl handles, wooden handles, bone. Oh, my God, these are gorgeous. You're going to love them. Check them out. Whether you want to get one for yourself or you want to be a dealer and feature these at your store. FinchKnifeCo.com. Keep life from getting dull. Roberts Robinson. Chevrolet, Buick GMC, and Excelsior Springs is home of the lifetime warranty. They have low interest rates now, some below 1% on Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierras, certain models. And all the rebates would still apply to you as well. You want to talk about saving you money and giving you great service? Roberts Robinson's where it's at, in Excelsior Springs. Online, robertsrobinson.com. Shop online, deliver to your house, build your own. They'll do it all. Right now, $1,000 accessory allowance on Chevy trucks. Let's do it. robertsrobinson.com. Call Tim Trader at 816-826-1563. And Advantage Termite and Pest Control. They came out and they looked in my mulch. I told you this story. We sat out back and watched some football this weekend. You know what we have in our mulch? We just sat and watched it. It's like an onslaught of birds. Robins. They're coming down into this. We've got newer mulch. We remulch. They love this mulch. There's obviously new bugs in this new mulch that they want to eat. And they just throw it everywhere to dig down in there and get to their little critter. We don't have a critter problem. We have a bird problem. Now, what am I going to do about that? Here's what I'm doing. I'm constantly raking mulch back into the mulch bed because these dang birds. I'm not the biggest bird fan, but I'm not going to shoot them. I'm not going to put something out there that makes them sick. It's just mulch. But Advantage came out and said, yeah, you don't have a problem here. You got some birds or something throwing a little mulch around, dude. There's nothing digging in the ground. And I thanked Advantage for coming by and looking. We hadn't been out there and watched. I'm not kidding you. Yesterday, we were watching Sunday Ticket on our back patio. It was really a beautiful day. And we're looking around the corner where this mulch bed is. There must have been 30 birds down in the mulch, just digging and throwing mulch everywhere. It was wild. Anyway, the point is, Advantage came out, no problem. We have the regular service on auto pay. Anytime anything comes up, they just come right out and take care of you. Online at AdvantageTPC.com. It's Advantage Termite and Pest Control, 913-768-8989. I'll be honest with you, so many of you emailed me and said, it sounds like you got skunks. Because apparently skunks will kick some mulch, but not really dig holes. It didn't look like deer prints, okay? We see deer all the time, and I know what those look like in the mulch. And it didn't look like the little holes that squirrels dig to bury the nuts. So we just didn't know. And many of you emailed me and said, we think that sounds like skunks. Well, that got Jessica to call Advantage Termite and Pest Control really fast. She's like, we don't need skunks around here. I said, well, we have skunks around here, I'm sure. Just not going to see them. All right, on to football. The weekend that was, we'll kind of just breeze over the college games because it's a big week. K-State and Missouri are playing each other Saturday in Columbia at 11 a.m. But everybody won again. So everybody starts 2-0 here. When I say everybody, I'm talking about KU, K-State, Missouri. We'll go in the order of their games. I addressed this in the newsletter over the weekend. We did the Patrons Post. I did a lot of college football there. So a lot of times when things happen on the weekend when we're not podcasting, the Patrons Post or a Patron podcast will get more attention than the regular one. So I'm gonna skim over these a little bit. The KU headline, obviously, is Jalon Daniels is electric. There's nothing else you can say about it. I thought he tired as the game went on. He took a couple of shots. He got up slow a couple of times. I'm not sure he's 100%, but at this point, he doesn't need to be. And KU got a really nice win on Friday night. They allowed Illinois to sort of come back in the game. It's hard to put a Power 5 opponent away 52-0. KU was kind of on their way to doing that, and then they didn't. They win by 11. Illinois' quarterback is an embarrassment. The Big Ten is an embarrassment, by the way. The Big Ten sucks. It's just awful. They can brag about all the money they have. Their football teams are terrible. They got a couple at the top, and that's that. The rest of that league stinks. Stinks. And Illinois is right there with them. Illinois has a legitimate defense, so watching Kansas go up and down the field like they did, especially in the first half, was very impressive for Kansas because Illinois can play some defense. But that quarterback that Illinois has, in only his second start as a college player, is nowhere near ready to play any high-level football. He was skinny but slow, held the ball, and when he threw, he was inaccurate. I don't know how else you could describe him. But Kansas got a really good win, and Kansas got that thing like we see with the Chiefs, or we're going to get to the NFL in a minute. Did you see any of the Dolphins game yesterday? I don't think I've got the ticket and stuff, so I don't think that was the one on. It was definitely not the one on local TV. They ripped us off. We got stuck with the Eagles and Patriots on CBS here. That was dumb. The Raiders and Denver were playing a close game, and the Chargers and Dolphins were just setting the NFL on fire with the greatest game of the week. And we got stuck with the stupid Patriots. But whatever. It's wherever they send Jim Nantz, right? I'd have sent that crew to San Diego, to L.A. You had to know the Dolphins and Chargers was going to be a show. But the Dolphins just have this stupid swagger. You know, the Tyreek Hill swagger and Tua. The Chiefs have it too. Chiefs receivers don't have it. Mahomes has it. Some guys on the Chiefs have it. They don't have it across the board. The Dolphins now are the team swagger. They've got it. KU has that. When you watch KU play offense, they have that. They really do. Kansas State won. They won going away. They had a moment in the second quarter where the game tightened up. Will Howard had an outstanding day. He made a couple of dumb throws. And I say dumb. They weren't dumb like, oh my God, that's stupid. He was trying to take shots. They're always downfield. He'll throw into double coverage to his receiver 40 yards downfield and just expect it's not going to get picked off. Well, one of them got picked off in the end zone, and he chucked that one from like the 40-yard line. So I think the line of scrimmage was maybe the 30 or 32, and they were going to at least get a field goal, and he threw an interception there. He's got some swagger to his game, some confidence that you want your quarterback to have. You just don't want him to have too much of it. And right now it looks like he thinks he can complete everything. That can be dangerous. That can be a little dangerous. But Kansas State is one of those teams that can beat you in any way. The reason Kansas State has been better than KU and MU is K-State can beat you with their defense, they can beat you with their special teams, and they can beat you with their quarterback. And that's a wicked combination that Chris Kleiman has going on in Manhattan. Are they going to win 10 games and be in the Big 12 title game? I can't predict that. Looks like to me they've got the pieces. They've got some running backs that are not as good as Deuce Vaughn, but they're younger. They're learning as they go. This Giddens player looks like a really good running back. The receiving core may be slightly improved, and the quarterback is a little more seasoned. I think they'll get better and better. I like K-State against Mizzou this week. The line came out, was only 4.5. I think it's up to 6. K-State is favored. I like K-State, but people are asking, why is that line so low? And I will remind you, if you're looking at Missouri against Middle Tennessee, you're wasting your time. Yes, Luther Burden was great in that game, and Luther Burden is a stud athlete and could absolutely be the difference in Saturday's game for a Missouri win, no doubt. And Missouri has some issues. Their offensive line doesn't pass block very well. Kansas State gets to the quarterback. That's going to be a problem with the passing game for Missouri. They've got to find a way, whether it's leave a back in the backfield and try to chip and do some different things. They'll have to figure it out. K-State plays a complicated defense that confuses most college opponents. It's different than other teams' defense. Their scheme is different than anyone else you'll face all year, and that has worked for Chris Kleiman. He's a defensive guy. He's turned his offense over to Colin Klein and said, it's all yours. Don't even tell me. You just run it, operate it, call the plays, manage the clock, which, by the way, they do that beautifully at K-State. Maybe better than the Chiefs. And to me, that's just all got to be Colin Klein because it wasn't that good early with Chris Kleiman. He had a friend of his named Messingham was the coordinator, and he had a tough job to do. He fired his guy. He put Colin Klein in there. He did the right thing. He's got a stud young offensive coordinator that really knows how to manage an offense and the clock. And everything. It's been spectacular to watch in just a little over a year with Colin Klein as the coordinator. But they'll go up against a Missouri team with Kleiman's defense that's just a little tricky. They do a lot of stunts. They do a lot of pass rushing type stunts that you don't. A lot of teams in the SEC will just bull rush you. They're just big, strong, physical. Find your gap and go. Kansas State tricks you a little, so it's gonna be a little complicated there for Mizzou. But I don't think you look at this Middle Tennessee game and come to any conclusion. I heard from a half a dozen MU friends over the weekend, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to this game. K-State's going to win by 30. It's going to be so ugly. It will not be ugly. I can promise you this will not be a beatdown. Kansas State, hey, if they run away in the fourth quarter and win by 14 or 17, you may think it was a beatdown. This will not be a beatdown. Missouri will be 20 times more focused and put forth 5 times as much effort Saturday as they did last Saturday. Now, you can criticize Eli Drinkwitz for that. Missouri is not a model of consistency. They're not. We know what they are. They're the kind of team that when Georgia comes to town, they were the better team for 58 freaking minutes. They beat the snot out of Georgia for 58 minutes. Do you remember that? No. This is the game they circled. Everybody in Tigerland looked at this game and said last year was embarrassing. This is the one that sets the table. They're coming in, they're ranked. We win this one. If Missouri beats Kansas State, Missouri's going to have a good year. Period. I'll just declare it right now. If Missouri wins this game, they're going to have a fine season. It will not be their last good win, and they're going to win a bunch of games. In all likelihood, get to at least 8. This is a bellwether game. This is a table setter. It's a big deal. And Missouri will treat it as such. And when they have done that, when they have played really focused and really hard, Missouri can be really good. We've seen it. They're psycho. I'll grant you that. There's not a lot of consistency to Eli Drinkwitz. But y'all have watched football long enough. It does not matter what they did last week. It matters what they do this week. That's the only thing that matters. I expect Missouri to play by far its best game this year and to play exponentially better than they did last year against Kansas State. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. 11 o'clock on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Did you see this college football? Oh, Texas was great over the weekend, too, by the way. They're a legitimate national champion caliber team that tends to screw up against Texas Tech or somebody else that they're supposed to beat and lose to them. That's their MO, but my God, beating Alabama's. The SEC West, whoa. LSU gets embarrassed in week 1. Alabama gets embarrassed in week 2. Yikes. SEC and Big Ten think they run college football. It's been a rough go in those two leagues. Have you seen this bizarro story with Les Miles, the former KU coach and LSU coach? Nope. You haven't seen it? Nobody knows where he is. Les Miles has disappeared from the planet. He's being sued for sexual harassment from his time at LSU. And subpoenas are being served to him. He's got a $4 million home in Naples. And they keep pinning subpoenas to the door. And they do things like go on trash day. And the trash isn't out. So they're like, there ain't nobody living here. That house is empty. There's some dudes come by and cut the grass once a week. And that's about it. So they can't find Les Miles. He's got different addresses. They've sent these subpoenas to him to appear in this case where he's being sued for sexual harassment, and nobody can find Les Miles. Nobody. The authorities say we assume he's living at an address that does not belong to him. In other words, he's shacked up with a friend somewhere. I'm guessing it's in the Bahamas. Or maybe even someplace with no extradition. This is crazy. Les Miles has disappeared from the planet. The authorities cannot find him to serve a subpoena. And I thought of a bigger picture item because it made me laugh at some of the KU hires. They've got it right. Lance Leipold knows exactly what he's doing. So it's an easy time to look back and pick on the ineptness of the KU football program because of the ridiculously bad hires they made in sequence. I mean, over the years, one after another, and Les Miles just takes the cake. I mean, he was just a buffoon, but whatever. And now he's witness protection or something. I don't know. How about this? Because it's happened everywhere except one place. Can you imagine what would happen to Kansas basketball if they went on a bad string of coaching hires? Can you imagine? They're the only place that hasn't had the dip. They've gone from the 80s, Larry Brown, Roy Williams, Bill Self. Perfection all the way through. That doesn't hold up. How much you betting on the new guy at Duke winning a title? Or Carolina? We've seen Kentucky slip and fall. UCLA's not the same. Indiana hasn't been the same since Bob Knight left. I mean, there's a lot here to digest. And I'm just thinking, boy, they screwed up every single hire one after another in football. What would happen if Kansas started botching coaching hires? Because it feasts on itself. Now, Bill Self's got a lot of years left if he wants to coach. But then when it happens, if you get a bad one, you know, they're only there 3 years. Then you get another one. And if that doesn't work, they're only there 3 years. And it becomes a cycle. Kansas is basically the only, Kansas basketball in my adult lifetime is the only college program that has been immune to that. Every other program I can think of has hired a bad coach, and a great program has dipped and stunk. We've seen it. We've seen it pretty much everywhere. I don't know why I thought of that when I thought of Les Miles. I was just laughing at how laughable it was that Les Miles was there. I watched all last week a guy named Skip Bayless, who I'm not a big fan of, but they had the debut of this new Undisputed that's changed. They got new co-hosts and stuff on there. And Skip Bayless, he does so many things I used to get accused of, and I hated it because I'm like, no, I don't make things up. If I believe something, I say it. He's trying on there to have this argument that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes. And nobody takes that seriously. You just can't at this point. Joe Burrow's got to go win a couple of Super Bowls to do that. Wow. And I know Joe Burrow was hurt in the preseason, didn't practice or play much, and he came out and played against the Browns, 14 out of 31 for 82 yards, and they got pummeled. The Browns beat the snot out of the Bengals. The Bengals do start slow. Joe Burrow is a talented player. He's got great receivers. They're going to have way better games than that. But can you imagine Mahomes ever going 14 of 31 for 82 yards? I can't even imagine that. I feel like the guy could go into hibernation for 2 months, wake up on the first day he wakes up, not eat, and go do better than that. Jordan Love of the Packers was terrific on Sunday. Wow. Nobody saw this coming. He waltzes into Chicago. Same old story. The Bears are our bitch. 245 yards and 3 touchdowns for Jordan Love taking over for the Packers. I would hate to be a Bear fan. Man, it's just every year that team stinks. Every year. And Justin Fields is not a pro quarterback. Some of these guys you can just are not pro quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill is still starting in Tennessee. Ugh. What are they doing? It's the AFC, man. Everybody's got a quarterback. Did you watch Tua throw for 450 yards? Tua, who's going to be the AFC player of the week? Tua or Tyreek? I mean, it'll probably be Tua, but my God, Tyreek Hill had what, 250? It was crazy watching the Dolphins. Wow, that was some game. And thank you for pinning one on the Chargers. That works. The Raiders beat the Broncos. Garoppolo looked serviceable. He got hit early. It looked like he got a concussion, but they put him back in the game. And he wasn't really the same, and he wasn't great. But the Raiders just beat Denver. That's all they do. They're like the Chiefs. Well, the whole division just kind of beats Denver. So it happened. Sean Payton, if you didn't see this, the new coach is going to be the savior here in Denver, right? He starts the game kicking off with an onside kick. It failed. They gave the Raiders a short field. He loses a 1-point game. Oh, my God, the 49ers look great. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Brock Purdy. Easy decision, apparently, in San Francisco. Brock Purdy's our boy. They got him on a cheap contract for a couple of years, and nobody looked better than Brock Purdy and the 49ers, not even the Cowboys. The Cowboys were more complete. They scored a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown, offensive touchdowns. They were more complete, but nobody just lined up offense against defense and looked better than the 49ers. Just drilling the Steelers on this Sunday. Headlines from week 1, Chiefs and Bengals, ouch. Eagles, a little bit lucky to beat the Patriots. Rookie quarterbacks are dreadful and shouldn't play. I don't know what it gains you to draft your rookie quarterback and play them and have them throw for 91 yards and 51% completions. Save it for the end of the year. Let them watch a little bit. It's amazing. The second these players go from programs where their quarterback and their 10 guys on their offense are better than the other 11 on the other side of the line of scrimmage and get into a league where everybody's even, they got no chance. They're like, whoa, this is a whole different deal here. We saw that across the league. And your Monday Night Football game, awesome. Jets and Bills. Can't wait. Tennis, Novak Djokovic wins the United States Open. It is his 24th major. I love this guy. He's Serbian. He refused the jab. He didn't get to play in this tournament before because he'd not been jabbed. He refused it. You know this story inside and out. Well, now he's allowed to be here and to play, and he won it. And that's the biggest middle finger anybody ever threw up. I love it. I love this guy. I love his game. I love his personality. I love his dedication. I love everything about Novak Djokovic, everything. And when he wins yesterday, before the ceremony where they give you the trophy, hand you a check, and you do the microphone, he's sitting down at his chair. He's wiping himself off because he's sweaty. And there's, oh gosh, what's his name? The tennis guy, the ESPN announcer, Chris Fowler. Chris Fowler's doing the tennis. And he said, and they zoomed in on Novak, and they go, now it's time for our Moderna shot of the day. And a graphic comes up of these animated tennis rackets and tennis balls that are blue. They're little microscopic drops of medicine. They're little, like the little medicine things, but they look sort of like tennis balls in this animation. It's drugs. They're little drug balls. Your shot of the day. Here's what we're putting in the needle today to shoot in your arm, because we're Moderna and we're rich, and we will tell you when to take this, and you will obey. You will listen to everything that we say. Moderna is good for you. No kidding. Djokovic is on the screen. Refused any of the shots. And the play of the day, the Moderna shot of the day, is sponsored by Moderna, and it's Novak Djokovic. I loved it. I just loved it. And the gall of, it's one thing that for ESPN to say, we'll take your advertising dollars, Moderna, but to do something called the shot of the day is a little over the top. And we used to do a wine of the week on radio where we found somebody in sports that was whining about something and was sponsored by Gomer's Liquors. And, they'd offer a wine special that week on a certain bottle or something. We thought that was cute. It wasn't making you go drink wine. Maybe that you could be just as critical as that as I am of this shot. But the shot of the day, sponsored by Moderna? Yeah. Too soon, as they say. Too soon. Kansas Speedway playoff race in NASCAR in the Cup Series on Sunday. Tyler Reddick wins it in overtime with a bold move. He was like third. And a bold move on the restart and got around Denny Hamlin, who finished second. Hamlin was probably the best car all day. There were 19 lead changes. My guy, Martin Truex, is now in 13th place, and only 12 will advance to the next round. He's still got the Bristol race this week to move up to 12, but it's going to be hard. Truex got more bad luck. This guy was great in the regular season. I think he was tops in the regular season. Second, he got to the playoffs. Terrible thing. Yesterday, tire blew out, and he hit the wall. I mean, your tire blew out. He hit the wall, finished 37th or something, fell all the way back to 13th, which means if he doesn't move up a spot, he's out of the playoffs, and that's my guy. Martin Truex, one of the nicest people I've ever met. It's his personal story is fantastic. His relationship, his fiance with cancer, and I like Martin Truex. I've liked him for a long time. He's easy to root for, and he's got some work to do this week if he's going to stay in it. But a good day at Kansas Speedway. Tyler Reddick with a big, bold move. He beat Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin is part owner of Tyler Reddick's car. I guess if you're Hamlin, you're going to lose. It might as well be one of your cars that beat you. So there you go. Our final is a beauty. It's brought to you by Back Nine Development. Online at back9development.com. Kansas City, Lawrence, Topeka, Manhattan. Your custom builder is Back Nine Development. Whether you're looking for a new home, you have some sort of land you think you might like to develop, turn it into a subdivision of housing or something like that, Back Nine would love to meet with you and maybe even partner up with you in a business deal, commercially or residentially. Call TJ Vilkanskis and see if you might match with everything that he's about. 785-236-0161, back9development.com. Buck Roofing and Construction is online at ourbuckroofing.com. If you'd like to get a free roof inspection, call 913-384-2680, and you'll sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head. They do minor repairs and complete new roofs for houses and commercial properties. Call my man Ron Buck, 913-384-2680. And I got a great email from a listener who said, the new car image, Kevin, is everything you said it was. I got the full detail and the ceramic coating, and I can't believe it. The water just rolls right off my car. It's as beautiful and clean and nice as it's ever been, and the service is everything that you say. Call Brad today at the new car image, 816-499-1470. That's 816-499-1470. They'll come to you pretty much anywhere from Belton to Lawrence. They'll come to you. If you're going to do the ceramic coating, sometimes that needs to be done in the garage, and you may have to take it to their shop, but you work that on an individual basis. If you just want the detail, the interior detail, and the spiff it all up, they'll just come to you. They can do that at your workplace. They can do it at your home. They can do it with your fleet. 816-499-1470, thenewcarimage.com. Our final is David Boomer Wells. Do you remember David Wells, the pitcher? The big dude, big, massive man. He threw a perfect game, right? At least a no-hitter, maybe a couple. I think he had a perfect game for the Yankees. Well, the Yankees had an old-timers game. And when the old-timers have a game, reporters like to ask them questions. And so they talk. And David Wells shows up at the old-timers game with duct tape over the Nike logo on the jersey they gave him. They said, what's up with that? And he goes, I hate Nike. They're woke. There's slave labor. There's China. Where do I start? They're awful. And he said, if I were playing today, I'd cut the Nike swoosh off my uniform. Well, no, he wouldn't, because they wouldn't allow it. If he wants to go out there and earn his salary, he'd have to have that Nike swoosh out there. He'd have no choice. But he said he'd cut it off. Then he went on a tirade and said, I hate Bud Light. I'll never drink that again. Should I go on and on? Target? He was just on a roll. Keith Olbermann saw this. You remember Keith Olbermann? He's the guy with the metal plate in his head. That, again, another one of these people that's neurotic. He has a metal plate in his head, and we're supposed to listen to what he thinks about politics and sports. Okay, yeah. You have a plate in your head. Did you know that? Olbermann's deranged. He's crazy now. Like, he's 20 times crazier than Trump. People try to say, oh, Trump's crazy. Look at all this stuff he did. No. Keith Olbermann's legitimately nuts and dangerous. So he goes after David Wells, basically accusing him of being an alcoholic, that he'd drink anything. This is all BS. Of course he'd drink Bud Light. This lush would drink anything. And David Wells fires back with an F-U at him and just lets Keith Olbermann have it for being an idiot that never played the game and all this other stuff. It's classic stuff. David Wells. You want somebody to root for in retirement? There's your guy. Boomer Wells let it fly in New York this weekend at the Old Timers game. We're off to a flying start here on KKHI this week. Big week. We got K-State, Missouri. We got the Chiefs in Jacksonville. Of course, we'll have Stan Weber in this week to preview those games. Lee Sterling with his picks. He's on a roll. He hit his play of the week last week was a teaser, a 45-unit play with the Commanders and the Dolphins. You had to hit them both to win the bet, and he hit them both. Big time. Good time stuff right there. So we'll have Lee Sterling back. He'll have a Thursday play for our patrons free of charge as well. So we look forward to all that this week right here at Kevin Keatsman Has Issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Keatsman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit kkhasissues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.